Picture this: Rachel Zegler, once dubbed Hollywood's next golden girl, sitting in a theater so empty you could hear the popcorn machine wheeze. March 25, 2025 was supposed to be a celebration, but instead, it turned into a heartbreaking horror show. The highly anticipated woke Snow White remake didn't just flop, it vanished, like magic, but the cursed kind. Not even Discount Tuesday could lure in the crowds, and the only ones watching were Rachel, 23, and a few loyal ride-or-die friends who seem more like emotional support than fans. The vibe? Less movie premiere, more support group for public embarrassment. So what did Zegler do? She dragged her friends, Ilma Mason, Jorge Mason, Remy, and Maria Isabel Demison, into the ghost town theater to watch her $250 million film crash and burn on opening night. The entire awkward ordeal was caught on Ilda's Instagram stories, and honestly, it was painful. At one point, Ilda screamed Rachel's name as it appeared on the screen, like she was trying to manifest an applause. Rachel laughed it off, forced a little cheer, but that theater was dead silent. There was no crowd, no buzz, just empty seats and a group of friends desperately trying to pretend like they weren't witnessing a disaster unfold in real time. And get this, they even joined in on the TikTok trend. 2 tickets, please? When the Regal employee asked which movie, the camera panned to their Snow White-themed souvenir cup and popcorn bucket, only to be met with awkward silence. Yikes!
Please?
For which movie?
And just when you thought the night couldn't get any more ironic, Rachel Zegler stood there clutching a bouquet of flowers. A sweet gesture, right? Except it was clear those weren't celebration flowers. They were sympathy blooms. No box office glory here. Her fairy tale had kissed not Prince Charming, but rock bottom. The numbers were brutal. Thursday previews brought in a meager $3.5 million. The opening weekend? A dismal $43 million. To compare, The Little Mermaid remake brought in $95 million, and Dumbo, of all things, managed to match Snow White's total on a fraction of the budget. Oh yeah, the budget. Disney shelled out over $250 million before even counting the marketing costs. And now? Theaters are practically empty. Social media is roasting the film with viral seating chart screenshots showing row after row of unsold seats. One meme even suggested starting a GoFundMe to help Disney break even. You know it's bad when the jokes write themselves. And as if fate wanted to rub salt in the wound, an old clip of Rachel resurfaced. And oh boy, it did not age well. In it, she boldly declared that fans would wait in line to see her movies. Fast forward to today, and the only line forming is on Twitter, ready to roast her into oblivion.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
The internet had a field day. One commenter said it best: "Welcome back to reality, princess." Snow White was a complete flop. And then, boom, Ian Miles Chong reposted that old clip and reminded everyone that this Snow White is officially Disney's worst-performing live-action remake in decades. Decades. But wait, the drama wasn't just on screen. Oh no, it turns out Snow White wasn't the only thing falling apart. So was Rachel's relationship with co-star Gal Gadot, and the backstage tea is scalding.
This is really a bad movie, and I apologize to Walt Disney himself. I'm sorry.
Thanks to a bombshell report from Variety, we now know just how messy things really got. According to sources with serious Disney connections, execs were already uneasy about Rachel's out-of-pocket comments dragging the original Snow White. But instead of stepping in, they stayed silent. Then came the D23 event. Rachel took the stage, smiling, charming, graceful, until she dropped a surprise political statement that left execs shaking, like full-blown panic mode. Disney's $270 million baby had just spiraled into a PR nightmare. They scrambled to do damage control, but it was already too late. The storm had hit, and Rachel was at the eye of it.
Behind the scenes, you guys know as well as I do that those executives like Spielberg are looking at that, saying, Rachel Zegler can F right off.
And now, let's talk Jonah Platt. Yes, that Jonah, the son of Snow White producer Mark Platt. He came out swinging. In a now-deleted Instagram comment, Jonah went in on Rachel, blaming her for the box office train wreck. And he didn't sugarcoat it. He revealed that his own father had to fly across the country to personally confront Rachel over her behavior and political posts. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, Jonah wrote, bluntly calling her out for tanking the film's success. Turns out Mark Platt had to fly to New York twice to beg Rachel to tone it down, but she wasn't having it at all. And then, things between Rachel and Gal Gadot got even messier. Insiders say that while the two women were all smiles during filming, things quickly went south leading up to the release. Their Oscars appearance together, awkward doesn't even begin to cover it. Rachel threw what fans saw as a major dig at Gal, calling her a professional pageant queen in an Instagram comment. It was shady, it was pointed, and even Disney insiders were like, "Girl, what are you doing?" The tension wasn't just personal, it was political too.
Zegler also faced blowback after posting Free Palestine. Gadot is from Israel and served in the Israeli army.
Rachel's outspoken political posts, especially her one-sided support, caused serious fallout for Gal Gadot, who, due to her background, found herself the target of death threats. It got so bad that Disney had to hire extra security for the mother of four. Imagine filming a children's movie and needing a security detail just to survive the press tour. She didn't understand the damage she was doing, one insider said, referring to Rachel's behavior, and things only got worse when Rachel posted, "May Trump supporters never know peace," after the election. That one post sent Disney executives into full meltdown mode. She was now alienating half the potential audience for a movie already for air. Disney tried one last desperate move. Mark Platt flew out again and convinced Rachel to work with a social media expert to approve every post before the March 21st release. But the damage was already done. And just when you thought the Zegler-Gadot feud might cool down, Rachel lit the match again, this time by totally ignoring Gal in a gushy Instagram post the night before the film's release. She thanked everyone on the crew, talked about how magical the summers were, posted behind-the-scenes pics, but not one single mention of Gal, no photo, no tag, not even a casual nod. Was it an oversight? Maybe. But coming right after that Oscar nightshade and all the drama, it definitely felt like another calculated snub. And listen, if the humiliating box office numbers weren't already dragging Snow White through the dirt, Rachel Zegler's endless controversies were the icing on this tragic cake. From the second Disney announced Rachel as the new face of Snow White, the internet exploded. While some were excited about a modern take, others were furious, accusing Disney of abandoning the traditional pale-skinned princess narrative. And yes, it mirrored the backlash Halle Bailey faced when she was cast as Ariel in The Little Mermaid. But Zegler, she didn't exactly take the high road. In a now-deleted social media post, Rachel clapped back with fire. "Yes, I am Snow White. No, I am not bleaching my skin for the role." She didn't stop there either. She went on to call her critics losers obsessed with maintaining the bloodline purity of a cartoon princess. That's not exactly how you calm a PR wildfire. According to the Wall Street Journal, Rachel's comments were considered reckless even inside the Disney machine. She kept fanning the flames instead of putting them out. In a 2022 interview with Andrew Garfield, she even admitted she became a trending topic because of all the outrage. And instead of letting it cool off, she doubled down. You'd think with all this heat, the film would at least benefit from controversy-driven buzz, but nope. Snow White didn't even get that kind of press magic. It was a PR nightmare that bled into the box office and infected every corner of the rollout. But wait, it gets worse. In another infamous interview with Extra, Rachel dissed the original 1937 Snow White in a way that had Disney purists fuming. She called the storyline weird, specifically dragging the romance, saying, "There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird." As if that wasn't enough, she revealed that the new remake was going in a totally different direction, implying it would ditch the classic romance entirely.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Now here's the thing. Disney had already hinted that they'd modernize the story, but Rachel's delivery felt more like she was throwing shade at a piece of Disney history. People weren't having it. She hates the story so much. Why take the role? One furious fan wrote on X, formerly Twitter. It was like watching someone light their own project on fire. And then, instead of putting it out, they grabbed gasoline. And as if things weren't spiraling fast enough, a new layer of controversy exploded, this time around the Seven Dwarfs. Oh yes, you didn't think they'd make it out unscathed, did you? Enter Game of Thrones star Peter Dinklage, who slammed Disney for what he called hypocritical casting choices.
You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that fucking backward
Oh,
story of seven dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
In a brutally honest 2022 episode of the WTF podcast with Mark Maron, Peter called out the studio for patting themselves on the back for casting a Latina Snow White, while still relying on what he saw as an outdated portrayal of dwarfs living together in a cave. He didn't hold back. He questioned how a company like Disney could boast about progressiveness in one breath and then turn around and reinforce old tropes the next. And the internet went wild.
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's for dwarfs, you know?
Some praised Peter for his honesty. Others fired back, saying he was erasing roles for actors with dwarfism. The debate raged for days. And of course, Disney noticed. In an attempt to dodge yet another firestorm, Disney put out a rushed statement saying they were taking a different approach with the dwarfs and had consulted with the dwarfism community, and that different approach? They scrapped the original Seven Dwarfs completely. So what did they give us instead? CGI monstrosities. Fans were stunned when they got their first look at the new dwarfs. Instead of the charming animated originals, Disney presented us with stiff, uncanny, photorealistic digital versions that looked off. Like, really off.
That is totally uplifting and the right way to be woke, Link, when you actually cancel the roles for the marginalized population, because just putting them on screen is somehow racist.
Gone was the heart, the expression, the magic. Instead, audiences got what looked like 7 weird NPCs from a fantasy game glitch. It was bizarre, and fans dragged Disney for turning beloved characters into emotionless tech disasters. Yet another chapter in this cursed Snow White saga. And guess what? Disney's response? Silence. They acted like it wasn't happening. And how did they handle the actual premiere of the film? They didn't. Instead of a grand, glitzy, red carpet affair, Disney quietly swept the whole thing under a rug of shame. According to Variety, the premiere was reduced to a small, low-key daytime event on March 15th at El Capitan Theater, far from the blockbuster blowout you'd expect from a $270 million project. Even the European premiere was suspiciously low profile. No London red carpet, no press blitz. They quietly shipped the event off to some remote castle in northern Spain, hoping the drama wouldn't follow, but of course, it did. Why the secrecy? Well, take your pick: lack of confidence, damage control, or maybe just the grim realization that this wasn't a fairy tale anymore. It was a cautionary tale. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong, from Rachel Zegler's social media meltdowns, to Gal Gadot's sidelining, to PR disasters and political landmines, to Peter Dinklage's scorching critique, and a Seven Dwarf fiasco that alienated just about everyone. And at the center of it all, a movie that cost $270 million and barely made a ripple in the sea of Disney remakes. So what happens next for Rachel Zegler, for Disney, and for a studio that once ruled the world with fairy tales but now finds itself facing angry fans, political chaos, and empty theaters? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, this version of Snow White didn't just fall asleep, it never woke up. Let us know in the comments how you feel about Rachel Zegler's Snow White catastrophe. And if you want more jaw-dropping Hollywood drama, click through to the next video, because this fairy tale is far from over.